Brian had asked that I make the report this evening because he did it for me in January with little notice, and so I think payback is appropriate. I just wanted to start out by giving a couple of things that the Finance Committee is actively working on this year and have already started, and some of this is finished. First thing is that Briar Lake has changed our banking relationship. We are no longer with Wells Fargo. We are now open with Resurgence Bank, a small community bank here in the community, and we're already seeing good results from that. They are a bank who you truly have a relationship with. They want to work with us. We are not just an account number. And in addition to the good service, we also have much lower deposit fees. We have better terms on a refinanced term loan and better terms on a line of credit. We're also working with them on some future enhancements that we hope to be able to roll out that will streamline some of our processes in the future. They're also working on, as a committee and with some sub-people working on this from outside the committee, reviewing and fine-tuning our financial policies and procedures into a cohesive framework that will improve operations, streamline some processes, and improve our accountability. We're doing this effort as part of a lead-in to doing a full financial review of our financial operations that will be undertaken by the Finance Committee next year to go over this year's results. I hope you had a chance to pick up as you came in the Briar Lake Summary Financial Condition Report. This details a comparison between this year through August and last year at the same period of time. If you look across the sections going across, the first one is a comparison of budget giving and budget goals. And you can see, if you read across from 13 to 14, our budget goal declined by 0.9%, almost 1%, or a little $11,000 year to date. Our budget giving is $15,500 off what it was last year, or we're 1.5% behind for the same period of time. But that leaves us $186,000 short of our budget. If you know anything about Briar Lake's budgets and giving, we have a very strong year-end giving emphasis, and a lot of our giving comes in that single month. This budget is taken in straight line for every month, so we are always behind until we go into December. We have been giving so far year to date right at 85% of our budget, which is about the same that it was last year. I will give you a little bit of good news. This situation has improved, closing the gap to 1.5%, because early in the spring we were running 7% below. But for the last 4 months, for May, June, July, and August, we have greatly exceeded the prior year for that same period. In fact, this year we're averaging during those 4 months $141,000 a month in budget giving. Last year we were averaging only $124,000 in budget giving during the same period of time. I just hope that that trend continues for the rest of this year. If you look across the second section, you'll see the other giving broken down. This is anything that is given to the church that is not budget giving. It includes Global Mission Focus, our annual campaign for missions. That supports international Baptist missions, national Baptist missions, state Baptist missions, and some Briar Lake directed missions. So far this year, we are off compared to last year in that giving. The second line item there is other missions giving, and that are specifically designated gifts to missions entities that are not part of the Global Mission Focus. That amount is about the same as last year. Designated giving is a broad area that covers anything else that's given to the church for a specific purpose. This year, that includes the short-term project for B Building. That is the big reason that that designated giving is up for the year by $69,000. Our moving forward is a specific campaign. Last year we had a focus to, if you'll remember, we updated the worship technology in all of our venues, and we raised that money primarily during the summer. This year it has not been a focus. We've taken a break from moving forward, and we'll be addressing that a little further tonight in the properties presentation. And then debt retirement is the last portion of other giving, which is also down for the year. Altogether, if you look at other giving, our giving is down to other areas. That can be a bad thing, but it can also mean a good thing if more people are focusing on giving to the budget, which is what we try to encourage people to do. Budget giving are the unrestricted dollars that are used to pay for all the church operating expenses. The final category across the bottom, budget spending, talks about all the different areas that we spend on. We break it into these 4 categories: missions, programs, personnel, and administration overhead. You see the comparison on mission spending. Year to date, we're slightly up, about 4.5% in our budget mission spending. Our program spending includes all the areas of age-graded ministries, all the communication, outreach, literature for life groups, and many programs like that are included in program spending. Our program spending is up almost $16,000 year to date, a 29% increase. A lot of that is by design. We had a good year end. We started out the year with strong with some numbers. We also have ministries that your staff are directing and operating with a lot less than they want. When they're trying to do these ministries, they're cobbling together the best they can with what we're able to give them, and they're doing a fabulous job of putting good programs together. A lot of our areas are growing. We have more students in our student ministry. If you've ever been down on the toddler room on the preschool area, you can see we got a lot more babies than we've had in the last several years. And when you have growth, you have increased financial needs. So we knew we needed to increase spending in these areas, and your giving at year end allowed us to do some of that. Personnel spending is for the staff, salaries, and all the benefits and the insurance associated with that. The full-time staff, the part-time staff, and the specialty staff that are used for different things. This area is being stretched because as we do more ministries, we need more people. We're doing it with a lot of part-time folks. We're doing it with some volunteers who are helping out in key areas. We've actually spent $18,000 less than we did last year, but we're still right at or slightly over. We're about 100% of our budget year to date in this area. This is a tough one to stay on because you have new initiatives and new things coming, and a lot of times that means we have to juggle who's doing what, and Tommy does a great job of trying to make sure all the gaps are covered when we make these changes. The final area there is administration and overhead spending. That includes a lot of the things that happen in the background but are pretty vital. The utility bills that pay for the electricity we're using tonight, the property maintenance that we'll hear a little bit more about tonight, insurance for the church, church administration, office supplies, postage, things like this that aren't really key to a church, but they do help get things done. It's an area where we do our best to cut costs, to try to get these numbers down, but if you manage your own budget at home or you have a business, you know these costs are going up every year. So trying to hold the line on there is very difficult. It's something we spend a lot of time working on. If you have any good cost-saving ideas, I'd love to hear them. Just bring them up. We've increased our spending in this area by $30,000 this year. Again, some of that was by design, particularly in the properties area. We've got to stay on top of this campus. We've got a lot of buildings. We've got a lot of facilities. Some of them are aged. We have to keep fixing them. We can't let things just go. Now, we did have a situation this year that was outside the ability to handle in the budget. That's the Building B project, which I will address a little further in more detail in properties. But we have spent $30,000 more than we did last year in admin and overhead. I do want to say that amount is still within our budget for this year. Every one of these areas is within the budget for this year to date, except personnel is about 0.5% higher than budget, but I do expect that it will be caught up by year end. Our total spending for the year in all categories added together is $30,000 higher than it was last year. We were able to do that, as I said, with some of the December money, but when we're giving 15 less than we had last year, it does create a problem, and it created a bigger deficit than we really wanted at this time of year. It's fairly standard for Briar Lake Church in particular to have a deficit in the summer. Summer months are very expensive from the items that we do with VBS Adventure Week, with mission trips, with a lot of other things going on, with gear ups for the fall. Summer attendance is generally down, which means giving goes down a little bit. So we're a bit like the reverse squirrel. We put away nuts in the winter to get us through the summer. So we were able to do that, but The pile of nuts is running down now. We're in the fall, so we're going to have to keep working on, just getting by with what comes in and have a big focus again on year-end giving. I do want to commend your staff once again, and I want to thank each and every one of you who are supporting Briar Lake through your prayers and through your giving. We need that. God provides, and God will use whatever we give him, but we want to do our part to help people experience meaningful life in Jesus Christ. So please keep on praying, keep on giving. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for such a good presentation. And Tim is around here as much as anybody, and is always able to clarify if you need him to do anything. I know sometimes people are afraid to ask something in a meeting like this, but feel free to ask him, or one of our finance committee members will be glad to clarify for you anything you have questions about. Now our properties committee report. Jimmy Warren, are you going to come and make that report? Jimmy's been here saving us money for a lot of years. And many of you know Jimmy Warren and his wife Etha right here. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Tommy. I'm going to give you a brief overview of some things the properties does. And anything I leave out, I'm going to turn it over to Tim. Because you just witnessed, he's got a great gift of gab. And I don't have a problem with turning it over to him because he won't miss anything. He reminds me of a new generation John Butler. John used to know everything about every building, and Tim's just like it. Great man to have around. The Properties Committee is made up of the following: William Loy, Valerie Hall, Lisa Singleton, Jerry Brittingham, and Jeff Shogren. Now, I think that's right. Shogren? Shogren. Jeff Shogren. I asked Tim, and he wasn't quite sure either. Right, Tim? I was just kidding. But the Properties Committee has a pretty big job around here. And it's made up, this facility is made up of 9 buildings. 9 buildings. One of these days when you don't have anything else to do, walk right out here and look back across. And then take in these 2 buildings and look at the scope and the size of those buildings. And we have 4 guys working here: David and his brother, twin brother, Wong and Adrian. And not only do they do the buildings, they do everything that the church needs and all the programs. And if you know this is true, if you're ever up here at Christmas time, they're busy all the time doing something. And I don't know how they do it, to tell you the truth. I really don't. David's been here 40 plus years, right? That's a long time. He knows every switch, every cutoff, every air conditioner, everything that there is to know about these buildings. And I don't know how we're going to capture all that knowledge in something one of these days. So, to say that, I'm going to let Tim cover the other perspectives about the buildings and so forth. The properties, whenever we take things up in the Properties Committee, we address every problem that we have via that month. And if there's something that comes up that we need to address immediately, then we'll do it. But there's a lot of things that we take up, such as, for instance, parking lots. You know, our parking lots right now, they need a new seal coat, new striping, new patching, new that. Because when that water gets down inside that asphalt, you know what it does? It just crumbles and it goes away. And then we have a major problem. But we don't have the money to fix that. I think that's about $150,000 or $60,000 item. So we don't have the money to pull out to do that. So we have to put that on hold. Security system. We need a security system really, really bad here. We need security system and then security patrol, which is two things, both of them expensive. Those are the kind of items that the Properties Committee knows about. The Properties Committee knows pretty much everything that goes on when we have a problem here, except like on a Sunday morning and it rains hard on Saturday night and we may have a leak or two. It's kind of like at home when you flip the light switch and the thing don't come on. You say, well, it was burning yesterday. Sure enough, it was, but it didn't come on. You just flipped that switch. Same way with problems around the church. You may not have, it may occur in off hours, and those guys are not here 24/7. So they take care of everything that they can while they're here, and then something happens, and that's when it occurs, and you feel like, well, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, but that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Building B, Tim mentioned that. We are in a project there. That's the one project, the big project we have for this year. That building hadn't been touched in years and years and years, 20 years or more. So it needed a lot of things done to it. And the number, I know that you're kind of confused about the cost number, but it's a moving target. See, we set up a scope of work to do, and then we price out that scope. And if the price is more than we could afford, then we got to change the scope and go back and reprice it to see if we can't get it down to within our budget or what we feel like we need to spend at that particular time. So that's what we're doing on Building B. There's other things. For instance, whenever we got into Building B, the heating system, there was 2 boilers. You may not know what a boiler is, but it's a hot water. It puts out hot water, and that's the kind of heat we had. Old, dilapidated system. So we need to remove those things. So we was going to take the one out in Building B, and the mechanical people wanted $500. We thought that was a great deal, so we did it. It was a good deal. We asked them to price the one in Building C, and they wanted $1,000 because they couldn't even hardly get it. It was so heavy, they couldn't get it out of the building hardly. So those are the kind of things we go into. We face them and we address them as they come along. And I'm going to let Tim elaborate a little bit more on this on the Properties Committee, but I just want you to know that we have a good Properties Committee. Everybody on this list that I named has an expert or experience in some form of what we do here on the Properties Committee. And they're good. And so we're going to take care of the buildings here, and we're going to bring you the ticket, so to speak. And I'm going to let Tim address this, and I don't want to elaborate because you guys get antsy and want to go out the door in a few minutes. So, Tim, come on, take care.
Thank you. Just as a little detail, the property's maintenance annual budget for Briar Lake is $131,000. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but it has to cover maintenance contracts for HVAC service, which we have that's done monthly, and that is actually saving us money long term because they identify things when we can still fix them before something totally breaks. It covers pest control every month. It covers janitorial service, yards and grounds, weekly service, alarm monitoring, required equipment inspections, which we got rid of 2 by getting rid of these boilers, but they're still out here looking at other things, checking the elevator. And it covers all our bathroom supplies for the 35 bathrooms, the cleaning supplies, the light bulbs, repair costs if we contract it out or if we buy the supplies and our guys do it. All of that stuff has to be covered with $131,000. Year to date through August, we spent $88,000 of that. That's 100% of the year to date budget. We've spent so far $20,000 in custodial charges, $18,000 on HVAC service and repair, not counting B building, $16,000 in grounds and pest control charges, $6,000 just at Home Depot in buying stuff for David and the guys to use to fix things here. And we've contracted out another $5,000 in repairs for specialty items. Those are just some of the things that Jimmy was alluding to. We've got a great facility. It takes a lot to keep it up. We need everybody to pitch in. We're all supposed to be good stewards. Be a good steward of your church. Don't be wasteful. Don't leave on unnecessary lights. Don't leave doors propped open if nobody's coming and going and we're running the AC. Don't use any more paper towels than you have to. You know, just treat it like you would your own stuff, because it is. This is God's church, and we want to save money in operating areas, so we'll have it to spend in more direct missions-related areas. Regarding Building B, in terms of an update on that project, we have completed the HVAC replacement. We've got 2 new gas-fired high-efficiency furnaces in there. We've got 4 new AC systems. The building can be split into zones, so you can operate basically just one room, and you don't have to turn on the whole building like we did. They took the boiler out. That work is complete. It's installed. The unit was running today, and we use Shoemate Mechanical. That cost $55,000. We're also in the process of replacing all the slider windows, those original windows that went in 1964 that are on the courtyard side. They're very inefficient. They're single pane. They don't close all the way. They have gaps. We didn't want to spend $55,000 on a new high-efficient system and then have half the savings go out through a leaky window. So we're putting in double-pane, insulated, tinted windows there. The windows are already here. They're being stored until the contractor gets the frames in, and he'll be scheduling that work within the next week or two. That will also include replacing the 3 exterior doors on that building, including the lower breezeway door. That's going to be about $46,000 to do all that. We've already done a lot of the painting in the halls. We skimmed the walls there. We had a professional come in and do that to save time. Our guys are doing the painting. They're also changing out all the lighting to new efficient lighting. The old lighting fluorescents are going away. I love these fixtures. They have half the bulbs and burn with half the juice. So we're putting them in. Anytime we're fixing a building, we're putting those in. That will be coming along with our guys finishing it up. As soon as the windows go in, we're going to take out the baseboard heaters. The sheetrockers will come in and skim that. That'll be painted. And then we'll come in and do carpeting on the building, on the floors. That will be a complete update to that building. It will make it much more functional, much more user-friendly, and you won't get kind of just disappointed every time you walk through it. When we on staff walk through to other places, we have to go through B. I usually go in a big hurry through there, or used to. Now I slow down and look at all the projects and the progress that's happening in there. Are there any questions on the B building project or specific questions on properties in general that we've discussed tonight? All right. If you have something you want to see me later, I'll be over here right after the meeting. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes. The Properties Committee is looking into security, as Jimmy alluded to. One thing we want to do, and this will be brought up as part of the budgeting process for next year, is I want to add a line for security and not just have to cover it out of this properties budget that's doing that. We're investigating equipment, cameras and other types of equipment. We have some members on the Properties Committee and some other people that are getting vendors to get information on that. We're also looking into off-duty policemen to possibly be on campus during events and on Sundays. We are looking at our overall procedural training for training some volunteers so you know what to do and who to go to at certain times. We're trying to address this as one big feature. It's going to be more than just buying some stuff or hiring a service. It's going to be a lot of things. One thing that's also going to be involved is everybody has to individually recognize we're on an urban campus. And it's not just here, it's everywhere you go. You go to a mall, you go to a restaurant, you're not going to leave something visible in your car. Somebody will break in and steal it. You're not going to go and set a purse or your keys or a wallet on a shelf and walk away from it in a public area. This is a public area. And what we want to do is make sure we do a good job of policing, but also our own people look after their own things. Don't leave things out in your cars that are visible. Someone could break a window and take it. Don't leave your personal items sitting out while you're doing good volunteer work. We're going to make sure that every area on the campus that has volunteers has a lockable space where volunteers can securely lock their stuff up and then get them when they leave. If we don't have it already in that area, we're going to get it in within the next couple of weeks. So these are all parts of a security procedure and program that the committee is working on and is going to come back with some recommendations for changes in the near future. Did that answer your question? Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, again, and Jimmy. Good report. There's no pending old business, so we move to new business. We have tonight a very exciting item here, licensing of 4 people, members of Briar Lake. I should say 3 are members of Briar Lake, and 1 is a prospective staff member for the Arabic congregation. That's the last name on the list of 4. That's Wahid Waba. Let me start at the front. Joseph Gangrapu. Many of you know Joseph, have grown to love him. He was in South Africa. He greets in the Cornerstone service. He makes coffee on Sunday mornings and does lots of things. He and his family are members of our church and from India. We appreciate them. We have Joseph. Here we go. So do I have a motion to license Joseph into the ministry? Second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Joseph, and congratulations. I should say to you that, pardon me, it's been a long day. I'm a little tired now, but licensing to the ministry is a very important status. It affords one the right to officiate at weddings. It affords one the right to have greater access to hospitals and prisons and jails as a licensed minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Also, they do get the benefits of the IRS tax breaks for ministers where your home allowance and things you spend on your home can be deducted tax-wise. So the idea there is that we use our homes as a place for ministry. Ministers who use their homes as a basis for serving the Lord in the community. So the government does afford us that through the Internal Revenue Service. So that's the benefit. We love to extend that to those who need and are worthy of that. Joseph is helping out in here in so many ways and is our associate minister of missions for our India project specifically and working with our India partnership, and is a great asset to have. Nathaniel Hilliard. Nathaniel, will you stand up? Joseph, did I have you stand up? Joseph, stand on up. Come on, Joseph. And your family. Is Mono here? Mono, stand up. Yes. Congratulations to you guys. And Nathaniel, would you stand up now? Nathaniel Hilliard, who grew up at Briar Lake Church. Nathaniel is our student ministry associate, played on the stage the guitar this evening. Nathaniel does so much. He's going to New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, pursuing a licensed master's degree, accredited institution there of the Southern Baptist Convention at Johnson Ferry, their extension campus. Nathaniel does so much. So I have a motion to license Nathaniel to the ministry. Motion, second. Here, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Nathaniel. Reverend Nathaniel Hilliard, I should say. Heather Leo. Heather, would you stand up? Heather Leo and Steve, are y'all here? She's working with the children. She's outside. That's okay. You see her picture here. This is the Leo family. This is a very important family at Briar Lake. Heather is our children's ministry director. She works part-time like so many of our staff do. Steve is the head of the water management at Gwinnett County. He was chairman of deacons at Peachtree Baptist a number of years ago and came here about 6 years ago, feeling God's leadership to come to Briar Lake from another sister church down the road, as I mentioned. Appreciate their ministry here. And Heather is doing a great work with our children's ministry, and we want to license her into the ministry. Let me say the difference between licensure and ordination. There is a difference. They have the same rights and privileges, being licensed or being ordained. Licensing, like I said, gives you the officiating weddings, tax benefits, and access to jails, prisons, hospitals, etc. Ordination, in my view, and I think a lot of Southern Baptists view it this way, is for a lead pastor, a senior pastor. It's basically the same rights and privileges as licensure, but I've ordained very few people here. When we ordain someone here, history has been, it's typically for someone going into the lead pastor role, senior pastor role. So that's the difference in licensure and ordination in a nutshell. But we're proposing Heather for licensure into the ministry. Do I have a motion to license Heather Leo to the ministry? Right here, a second. Back there, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Congratulate Heather for us and give her a big hug and her family. We appreciate her leadership. Wahid Webe. Wahid Waba. Is Wahid here tonight? Wahid, are you here? Is Layla here with you? Layla, stand up. This is a wonderful couple. Wahid is employed by Walk Through the Bible. He's the Middle Eastern Director of Middle Eastern Ministries. He covers Egypt, his own homeland of Egypt, and all the Middle East, and gets materials published for people in Arabic language, perhaps other languages, Farsi, and others as well in the Middle East. Is other members of the Briar Lake Arabic congregation here? I see Mike Sabah. Would y'all stand up, all the Arabic folks here, Arabic Mission? A couple of them are here tonight. Wahid is coming to this group. He's been serving in this group, the Arabic church. He's been doing Bible studies here in addition to his Walk Through the Bible responsibilities for that great ministry, that worldwide ministry. And tonight we propose him for licensure by Briar Lake to serve alongside Nicholas Muir in the Arabic church and provide leadership there. Do I have a motion to license Wahid to the ministry? Motion, second. Back here, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Passes, and congratulations, Reverend Wahid Waba. That's exciting. We've had quite a number of people licensed into the ministry at Briar Lake, and I'm so proud of them and what they're doing for the Lord and thankful for your affirmation of them tonight. And now we come to the bylaws. This is the last item on our agenda tonight. This is something that I've corresponded with you by email and letter over the last several months. We've had a terrific bylaw committee. I'd like to ask them to stand up. Charlie Crook is our chairman. Our chairman of deacons was chair of the bylaw review team. Charlie, would you stand? And all the members of the committee, would you all stand that are here? Susie Webb is on the committee. John David Huffman is an attorney. He's on the committee. Russell Garner is on the committee. Teresa Pernini, another attorney, is on the committee, and she's out of town. David is here, and her family's here representing her tonight. David's an attorney as well. Who else am I leaving out there? Tim Underwood served on this committee, and it was a small group, but a very able group and a very talented group of people. Y'all can sit down now, and thank you for your service. Also, we had Reverend Clay Turner. Dr. Clay Turner's right here. Clay, would you stand up for just a moment? Clay and Beverly, his wife. Beverly's a longtime member of Briar Lake from many years back. She's moved, and they've gone north to Cleveland, Georgia, but has a lot of friends still at Briar Lake. Clay was our bylaw consultant, has worked for the Georgia Baptist Convention, been a pastor, director of missions in many roles, and now he has a consulting firm that helps churches like ours. He's worked with 50 churches like ours in getting their bylaws together. You can sit down, Clay. Thank you. I may call you up here for some help, but just be ready. But let me say this real quickly. Briar Lake, of course, is a church of 55 years of history and heritage, and we have previous bylaw committees and previous bylaw teams, of course, through the years that have assembled bylaws and worked hard, and we stand on their shoulders. The work that we have done really takes into account and is based upon the previous work done. So there's a lot of people's fingerprints are on these bylaws. In addition, we've had 2 town hall meetings recently where we received some incredibly valuable feedback. They were not attended by lots of people. We had one on a Wednesday evening and one on a Sunday afternoon. They were widely published, and everyone could come and give input. Probably had about 25 or 30 people at each meeting, different people, so about 60 people in total. But out of those 2 meetings came some incredibly helpful input, some good ideas and good thoughts that were dialed into this document that we sent to you several weeks ago. So based upon all this work and the meetings that we've had, the bylaw committee presents to you this document tonight. I feel very confident about this document. It's biblical, number 1. It's practical, number 2. And number 3, it's in compliance with all local, state, and federal law. So it is a good, sound, and biblical document to govern and guide our church. I feel very confident about this document, particularly since I'm going into surgery this week. And I think most leaders, if you're a leader of any organization, any business, or even a family, you know the importance of providing for your family. You know the importance of thinking forward for your institution or your responsibility. And that's how I feel about Briar Lake. And I feel like this document puts this church on good foundation for the future. regardless of whatever circumstances the church may face, this is a sound document. So I commend it to you, as does the bylaw committee. It comes from a committee. Our intent is to vote on this as one whole document, a yes vote affirming it, or no vote disaffirming it. If that is your preference, you can have that freedom tonight. So we'd like to present that to you tonight. Is there any objection to voting on this document as a whole? Hearing no objection, we will vote on this document as a whole and give you the right to vote your conscience. Comes from a committee, does not need a second, so I present this document to you. All in favor, would you please stand to affirm this document for our bylaws? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'll ask that our deacons get a number there just to be aware. Y'all throw up your hands when you're done counting, and I'll move on. We're done? All deacons are done? Thank you, gentlemen. Mark's still counting over here. He's counting in Spanish. Good? Okay, we have a vote there. All y'all would please sit. All those who would say no to the document, to disaffirm it, or you know what I mean, stand up as well. Please feel free to vote your conscience. Anybody? Feel free. Thank you. Make note of these. Any others back there? Okay. Thank you very much. And obviously the motion passes and the bylaws are received. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. And I understand there's differences of opinion, and I respect those differences of opinion, absolutely. And I think we'll all be served well by this document. So God bless you. Feel free to stay around and mingle and meet some folks. Say hi to some friends you haven't seen in a while, or catch up on things. And we'll be dismissed as we're leaving tonight.